Hello, beautiful people. Welcome back to the Sports Ball Talk Show. Gian, of course, is here, and Frank, of course, is here.
It's popping.
You can see this beautiful, amazing graphic that is being displayed to you. It is happy Sean McVay and happy Baker Mayfield. We had sad Sean McVay a few weeks ago. Now we have happy Sean McVay. And you want to know why? Because the Rams just had the steal of the century claiming Baker Mayfield, one of the greatest quarterbacks in modern NFL history, and I know that they both agree with me on that. A little bit sarcastic, but anyway, the Rams signed Baker Mayfield, and less than 48 hours, he goes out on prime time football and wins against the Raiders. Not like the Raiders are anything to, be super happy about because, it's a whatever team. But they got Josh Jacobs, the leading rusher this year so far, RB1, and Devontae Adams, who's a wide receiver 4, who talent-wise maybe he's number 1 or 1 or 2. You could have that debate. But they went out and won with Baker Mayfield on less than 2 days of notice. This guy is an absolute monster. I've said before that I like Baker Mayfield. I think that the Rams picked up a stud, and I want to know what they're going to do in the future because, we have to see if Baker Mayfield plays well the rest of this week or the rest of the season, whatever, few games are left. But if he does well, do you think the Rams re-sign him, or do you think they go back to Matt Stafford?
Yeah.
Baker would be a great backup quarterback, especially because right now their other quarterback is injured, and it doesn't hurt to have someone who already has NFL experience be your backup. Once Matthew Stafford comes back, though, I feel like Matt Stafford's going to take the reins from there because they have a ton of deep threats, and he's already got that connection with Cooper Kupp. Then Matt Stafford's still got that arm, so if he wants to air it out to Kupp or Van Jefferson, he can. But honestly, picking up Baker so quickly and Baker proving himself this week was honestly the best thing that could have happened for the Rams. Because the Rams haven't been good offensively, and and their defense hasn't been as amazing. But shout out to the defense because they did pick off Derek Carr twice now. But Baker pretty much helped lead the team to a win. Like, had it not been for Baker Mayfield, I don't know what Sean McVay was going to do. Obviously, Baker had to learn the scheme and just pretty much listen to every word that Sean McVay had to do, and it worked out for the Rams. It genuinely did. So, looking forward into the future, I just think Baker's going to end up being more of the backup role until Matt Stafford gets better. Because early in the year, we were worried about Matt Stafford getting injections in his arm to heal for some pain. Typical injuries, according to some people, that revolve around baseball players and just the way that Matt Stafford throws, something of the sort. So once Matt Stafford's back, he'll be QB1 once more.
Well, here's the thing. I have actually a lot to say about that. 2 things. First of all, unrelated to what Gian said. Go look up the video of Baker Mayfield helmetless, just slamming his head into his teammates with helmets on, because it is just awesome. Watching him do that is awesome. 2, I want to make clear how impressive this win was. Less than 48 hours. Apparently he has a photographic memory. I did not know that. So what few plays he was able to look at on the plane to the game after running through a few minutes of practice, I think is what they said. They ran through a 2-minute drill with him in practice, and that was basically it. He ran the 2-minute drill in the game. They had a minute and a half left, starting on their own 2-yard line, no timeouts, and Baker Mayfield went down there and scored the game-winning touchdown. There was 2 defensive penalties, which obviously helped, but they were not half the distance to the goal penalties or spot fouls. It was I think holding or something like that, something minor that just got him a first down on second down. So it wasn't even anything that was super big. Obviously it helps though, but with your comparison to Matt Stafford, this is one thing that I want to note. Matt Stafford, when he was playing earlier in the season, was horrible. He had the most turnovers of any quarterback when he was playing. He wasn't making good throws, really. Cooper Kupp's there. He's obviously a monster, even with poor quarterback performance. But he wasn't doing well without Cooper Kupp. Baker Mayfield did well without Cooper Kupp. And once again, this is one game. Matt Stafford has proven himself. Super Bowl ring. He's been fantastic. Even on the Lions, he was great. But what if Baker Mayfield wins out the rest of this season? And you directly comparing this season with the Rams with Matt Stafford and Baker Mayfield, it's a relatively comparable number of games, especially if you disqualify some of the games by Matt Stafford that he was hurt and battling injury, because I don't like to count a lot of those because that's not really fair to the quarterback. Look at the number of healthy games that Matt Stafford's able to play. It's comparable to the number that Baker's going to be able to play on the Rams. If he has better stats across the board, which if he plays like he did on on Thursday he will. Then what happens? Because Matt Stafford is older, you're paying him more. You could have Baker for a longer time, get him for cheaper. I understand you spend a bunch of picks, but like, I hate when NFL teams just value picks or what you spend picks on, because if you have a better player, play the better player. And then also Baker Mayfield also has the NFL record for furthest thrown pass. So arm strength, I don't even know if that's really a factor, because I think it was 2 years ago he set the record for the longest NFL throw by a quarterback, which not saying that, in terms of accuracy as well, it's better than Matt Stafford, but there are a lot of upsides to Baker Mayfield, especially now that the first time he's ever had a good coach, and once again with no notice went out there and balled out all night. Like, let's say the remaining few games of the season he throws for roughly 300 pass yards and averages 2.5 touchdowns, 0 turnovers, and maybe 1 or 2 turnovers all season. Then what happens? Like, he's going out there and playing like a top 5 quarterback with Sean McVay. Like, this is his chance to prove it that he can do it, because he has no excuses at this point. The Rams are still hurt, but this is the best situation he's ever been in, even on such short notice. So if he goes out there and balls out, then what happens? I think that at the very least he's better than several starting quarterbacks. Even, like I said, if he plays exactly like he did on Thursday, I think he's better than Deshaun Watson and Jacoby Brissett at this point, which, once again, Deshaun Watson, like we said last week, a little bit finicky because he hasn't played in a couple years, so let's give him time, but he's better than any of the Jets quarterbacks, even though Mike White's balling. Baker Mayfield played better because he has less turnovers.
To Marcus Mariota.
Better than Marcus Mariota.
Baker, yeah.
I'd take Baker, which... Yeah. And side note, Desmond Ridder is now starting for the Falcons. They're benching Marcus Mariota, which I think is a good play. Like, if we're going to lose this season, let's go and get Ridder some reps. But I'd prefer Baker, I think, just seeing what he's done. I think he's better than Panthers quarterbacks, even though he just got cut from that team. I think you look at what he can do outside of that team versus what people like Sam Darnold done outside that team. I think Baker Mayfield's a better quarterback. I think the Panthers just suck. I think he's better than... I hate to say better than Tom Brady this season, but if he plays like he did on Thursday, Tom Brady's been horrible all season. Like, I think that the Bucs would... I mean, they have backups, but the Bucs would be a team that could sign him because he's serviceable there. The Saints, Andy Dalton's getting kind of old. Jameis Winston's battling injuries. They would be a team, and that's just the few off the top of my head. I think there's plenty of teams that would benefit from a Baker Mayfield that played on Thursday. And so there's also this crazy hypothetical, not going to happen, but there's someone that has bet on it, because if the bet is out there, someone bets on it. The Rams win out the rest of the season, and a few things go their way. They can make the playoffs. Let's say they do that and go win a Super Bowl with Baker Mayfield. Then what happens? You can't not re-sign the guy who just won you. I mean, honestly, Matt Stafford just won one, but if Baker Mayfield goes out there with as much injuries as they have and a worse team this year than they had last year across everything, O-line is worse, skills group is worse, the defense is worse, and he goes out there and wins a ring, or even makes it to like a division, even just making the playoffs in general, that would be very impressive. But let's say he goes and does something like that, then what do the Rams do? My vote is re-sign Baker Mayfield and cut Matt Stafford, or trade him for something, maybe a second rounder or something, get a few of the picks back that you traded for him. But I think that Baker Mayfield really has a chance to prove himself, and if he does, I think he deserves it, because I think the Rams are an organization that can really showcase his skills, because they are a great organization. They're a great franchise. They've been good for many years now. And if they keep a guy like him, you got Cooper Kupp out there. When imagine Cooper Kupp returns, Baker Mayfield playing as well as he did on Thursday. That's going to be a top 3 overall pick in fantasy next year, if that's the case, in my opinion. Once again, this is all assuming that he plays well the rest of the season, which anything could happen. But assuming that does happen, I don't see Baker Mayfield not having a starting job next year, and specifically probably on the Rams.
I think that, looking at the rest of their games, I think 3 out of the 4 of them are very winnable. I think they could beat the Packers. I think they'll definitely be able to beat the Broncos if they play like they played on Thursday. I don't know about the Chargers, just because the Chargers have been hot, and that's a Sunday night game. But then the Seahawks, I think, also is a very winnable game for them. And, like you're saying, like, they are playing with the team not even at full strength. I think it'll be exciting to see what Baker can do with a coach like Sean McVay, who's actually, knows what he's doing and is not, in a dysfunctional locker room and organization like the Panthers and, even more so the Browns. I think it'll be interesting to see what he's able to do with that, and with the weapons that they have. I think in the draft, if they are able to get a decent running back who's better than Cam Akers or Darrell Henderson, or if this new guy that they have is able to do something good, I think that really gives them a chance to do well, and I think that Baker could potentially get that starting spot. And again, I'm not the biggest Baker fan, but I think that's a possibility, just after what we saw one other thing, and I don't know if you guys saw this, but I just thought it was interesting was both of the last, I think, Thursday night games ended the same way where there was with the Bucks Saints game, there was a field goal with not too much left in the fourth quarter. Then the opposing team, so the Buccaneers, got a touchdown pass and then another touchdown in the last 2 minutes of the game, and that's exactly what happened with LA. So just kind of interesting because it was the same score, same type of game. So
Yeah, I think that his connection with Von Jefferson is really good as well. That he talked in a post-game conference about his connection to Von Jefferson, even before college. He was trying to get him to go to the same college as him. So slight fantasy advice, I guess, if you really need a flex spot or you're really bad on wide receivers, go get Von Jefferson, because I think that's going to be his number one target going into the last few weeks of the season. But before we move on, I'm going to give you what it takes for the Rams to make the playoffs, because it is possible at 4-9 they can still make the playoffs. Here's what must happen: the Rams must win the remaining 4 games, obviously. The Commanders or the Giants must lose all of the rest of their games, because they currently have the 2 wildcard spots and they're at 7 wins, and so the Rams winning all of theirs and one of them losing all theirs would put them 1 win above. If they have the same record, even if they win 1 game, doesn't matter, because the Giants and Commanders both have a tie instead of a loss. So one of those needs to lose all their games. The Rams must win all of them. The Seahawks have to lose out. They have to lose every game for the rest of the season. And then no other team can finish with more than 7 wins. So the Lions, Falcons, Packers each have 5 wins at the time of when I'm reading this article for what it takes to win, have to lose out. I don't see that happening, obviously, but just want to throw it in there. It is possible, and I think that at the very least, it's possible to win out for the rest of the season, and then secure himself maybe a job next season. But